Alrighty, so we're going to do some updates on the old KFX here. So you can see, I got it all nice and shinied up. Ended up going with a wrap kit. So we're going to do a little call out here for, it's called Calair Graphics. That's the company that made the wrap kit. They're found on eBay. They're actually a really good kit, super good customer service. I mean, they came out really nice. So this is pretty much after the first major ride. The ride, for all of you people in the East Coast, you'll know the name of this. It's called the SNIRT Run in Tug Hill. So the SNIRT Run is basically snow and dirt. It's put on by a local four-wheeler club up in Tug Hill. It's after snowmobile season. It's the first season or opening weekend of four-wheeler season. And pretty much if your machine makes it through the SNIRT Run, it'll make it through basically anything. So yeah, obviously we see the 850 made it through without any issues. Nothing new to report on that. Just cruised right along. No problems with that at all. So for the KFX, what did we run into? Well, we ran into a couple problems. I'll show you the aftermath of one of the problems. That, which sucks. So what ended up happening was I like to do wheelies like everybody else likes to do. And I'm not by any means a professional rider, but I'm pretty decent at them. And obviously, as everyone knows, you use the rear brake to control your wheelies. Well, I was using the rear brake to control my wheelie, and the rear brake stopped working. Okay, that's good. So what that ended up causing me to do was to flip backwards on the machine. And when I flipped backwards, it went all the way, well, no, I shouldn't say flip backwards. I didn't go all the way up, side down. So I didn't do this. I did this. It went on the grab bar, and then it went and tipped over. Now, by the time it tipped over, it was going very slow. But it tipped over into this branch. And, of course, the branch landed right on my new graphics and scratched them all. So, one of the reasons why I'm doing a little shout-out for Calair here is because they actually are sending me a new side graphic. So, that's cool. And you can see I bent up the rear bar. So, yeah, I'm an idiot, but it happens. So that happened. Other than that, okay, why did the rear brakes stop working? Well, my fiance was riding the machine for most of the day, and she, you're really not really using the rear brakes a whole lot, or I'm assuming she wasn't, and I kind of hopped on it just to play around with it a little bit. And what I discovered, as you can see, we drained the diff fluid, and that's what it looks like. Again, they're like, all right, why does it look like that again? Well, you can see, kind of, right in there, a little bit wet, right? Well, that seal leaks. So we figured out why, and I'll show you in the other video, we figured out why this was getting water in the diff. So that's what the fluid looks like. Brand new fluid, water in the diff, wet brakes. Obviously they need to be wet with oil, not with water. So yeah, so that's why the brakes failed. So now I got to put new brake pads on it. Other than that, the machine held up pretty good, I would say. Like some of the little things that I noticed on it, like this keeps coming loose. That bolt, I don't know. There's just some little things here and there. This other side came loose, as you can see. And that wasn't from the flip, because actually the plastics didn't even get touched from that. So, other than that, though, the thing ran great, ran really strong. It's actually kind of funny. I put a post on the Kawasaki forum on Facebook, social media, great thing. And what ended up, the original owner of it actually contacted me and let me know some information on it, some background on it. He actually had it rebuilt. So the rebuild only has like 200 miles on it. So actually the motor, which is kind of the reason why it was so clean, I'm assuming. So yeah, so it wasn't clean after the SNIRT run. The other thing is, and anybody comment and let me know, this thing is super stiff. I mean, the shocks, the rear shock isn't really cranked preload-wise hardly at all. And it's crazy stiff, like ridiculously stiff. So I got to figure out something with that, because that's really annoying, especially for her. She only weighs like 130 pounds. So to her, this thing runs like a covered wagon. So yeah, that's a little update on the Kawasaki. Like I said, it ran great. I didn't have any issues with it. So other than obviously that, but that really wasn't my fault. I also got new tires coming. These aren't terrible, but they really didn't do very good for what I wanted them to do. So I bought new ones. So these are going to be for sale. I also have oh, wrong way, that came with it. And if anybody wants to buy it, shoot me a message. A dual exhaust, which where I ride, yeah, you will get arrested. So I won't be running this, but it's an HMF dual exhaust for it. It's in great shape. I've got the gaskets, I've got the bolts for it. The only issue, it's got a couple little marks here and there, but I'm going to clean it up and polish it up and look brand new again. So if anybody wants to buy this, it's for sale. So yeah, other than that, hopefully going to get a couple riding videos of this thing at some point. I know I talk a lot, I don't ride a lot, but I do ride a lot actually. I just don't ever remember to film because I don't like doing that while I'm riding. But anyway, so we're going to figure out the rear brakes, and yeah, stay tuned. Ugh. Alright, so you can see we got the differential cover off here. This seal, man, just toast. Spacers, they go back on. They're fine. No issues there. Bearing's fine. The seal, though, not fine. You can see all the... So anyway, I'm going to continue on this. Alright, so we got the bearing out. So the way you have to replace these seals on these brute forces, or KFXs or Prairies, or any of these Kawasaki's with straight axles. So the bearing is in there before the seal. Bearing sits in there like that. So first the seals go in, seal in, bearing in. So the way you get it out, it's really pretty simple. You just flip this over, take your torch, and you just heat up around here. And you just do it for a couple minutes. And then all you do is just take a little, just the back end of your hammer and just go, and the bearing falls right out. And once the bearing falls out, you just grab a little flathead screwdriver, stick it right in there, tap on it with a hammer, and the seal will pop right out. Really easy. If you don't do that trick, it's going to be a pain in the butt. Don't bring it to the dealership. It's way too much money. Alright, so moving over here, what we now have is this groove in the axle. So it's not too big of a groove. I can feel it, but it's not crazy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sand it out. The way you do that, you're going to take a piece of sandpaper. Make sure it's a piece that goes all the way around the axle, which as you can see this one does. Once you put it all the way around the axle, you're going to take a piece of cloth or a shoestring. See if I still have my shoestring in here. Take your shoestring, and you're going to tie the shoestring, or wrap the shoestring around the axle. Let me get it set up and I'll show you. Alright, so as you can see, I've got the shoestring wrapped around it, not tied, just wrapped. And you're just going to go back and forth with it. And you just keep doing this. And this is actually the old school way of polishing bearings. You might have to kind of reposition it a couple times, but basically what this is going to do is it's going to allow, or it's going to turn your sandpaper into a sanding wheel, essentially. Again, you know, you're gonna probably have to reposition it a couple times, as you're seeing right now. You got to make sure the length is, or the width is correct in the sandpaper, and all this stuff. But ultimately, you'll get it, and yeah, so that's how this works. A nice little old farmer's trick on how to polish crank bearings. Or really anything. But again, you want to try to keep your wrapping as close to the thing as possible. And just go back and forth. And that's it. And once you get it going, just keep going with it. Your groove is out. That's it.